Equal Opportunities Commission, the minister and the commissioner for their presentations. However, Honorable Chair, I just want to have a few answers. Honorable Chair, on page 2 of the Commissioner's presentation, he clearly says there was benchmarking across the East African region, Africa, and the globe at large. However, when I look at the benchmarking, I only see Kenya and Zambia, and the rest are Finland, Singapore, Norway, New Zealand, South Korea, Canada, Australia, and UK. And yet we are talking about Uganda, which is on the continent of Africa. Don't you think it would have been more prudent to benchmark in very good examples of OECD schools in Africa? That would really give us, because we are still also developing. Well, much as you would have gone out, but most of the countries should have gone to would have been in Africa. I feel this was a disservice to the Ugandan pupils or the pre-primary children. They would have benefited more, and I just need to be given a response to that effect. Honorable Chair, I just want to also be given a satisfactory answer whether that a 3-year-old child will need a degree holder to teach them to understand, so that the quality of education will be the best. Because pre-primary, 0 to 3 years, 3 to 5 to 8 years, basically, they learn by play, they learn by singing, they learn by activity. And I would like to know whether they will need a degree holder. Even when the degree holders who are in Uganda right now are not earning a degree salary, do you want to convince us that when we cannot afford to pay the teachers right now a degree salary, you will be able to pay a nursery teacher a degree salary? So those are now two. Whether a 3-year-old will need a degree holder to be taught, and if you'll be able to pay the degree holders when you have failed to pay those who have upgraded. I am one of the examples of those who are not paid after attaining a degree and a master's, but I was getting a grade 5 salary. Honorable Chair, I'm disappointed that most of the questions that the petitioners asked, like the advice has expressed, have not been explicitly answered. They have stuck to what they want, not appreciating some people's suggestions. Yet, they are all for the good of this nation. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the Equal Opportunities Commission that they were in agreement, either in part or in totally, with the petitioners, because they brought up very salient issues. Honorable Chair, we should all agree that pre-primary education in this nation is only in urban and peri-urban areas, such that most of our children in the villages, deep, they don't have any school at all. If somebody has tried to put up one, it's under a tree. And the minister very well put it that all teachers primary teachers who hold certificates were taught in ECD or in early childhood education. It's right. But he should be very much aware that these teachers are meant to teach in primary schools, not in nursery schools, because their certificate is for primary education. And therefore, he should not be very comfortable that given the fact that they studied, they have certificates in primary education, they are the ones to teach in these schools. Yes, it is true that every parish must have a primary school. Honorable Minister, are you aware that 1,617 parishes in this country do not have a primary school? Therefore, where will these other poor students study from? I want to thank you.
Honorable Paparu.
Of Education, page 1, where they say where government is to fully sponsor those who can go for diploma and degrees. Because from what I know, currently government is only sponsoring a few people at degree level in Chiambogo University. So I wanted to know which are these 28 institutions where government is sponsoring. But I wanted to ask, are we just planning on paper, or we understand this country and we are planning on realities? Because when we start saying that those who have certificates and diplomas in ECCE will be fully sponsored by government for diploma or for degree, is this realistic with the Uganda we know today for government to sponsor all the current people who have certificates and diplomas? I need to be, and we are tagging so much to UNITE, and the presenter said in case UNITE comes to operation. That's why I'm like, it's like we're just having an imaginary planning for this country, and it worries me. The UNITE were much quoting and building on the presenter, who would either comfort us or otherwise, has agreed that it's not operational. And remember, this teacher policy of 2019, this is the 4th year. We're in 2023. And the unit is not operational, and we're here, and things are going bad. The early childhood education is having a problem. And I think for me, I want to agree with my colleagues. These petitioners saw realities on ground, and you and me are believing that there is a problem. But we cannot just ignore that because of this imaginary paperwork, we are going to solve this problem tomorrow. For me, that is where my worry is. To equal opportunities, yeah, you brought out issues, but for me, the conclusion was very disappointing. I did not see anything the committee can pick or the petitioners can be satisfied of. The explanations were good, because where you're like, you agree partly or otherwise. So the ones where you don't agree, what is the stand? Because for me, that is the reason why you're here. What can we pick? To either support the petition or to support the country to see that some of these things are already taking place and we can go forward. So for Ministry of Education, there's a lot of information here, and I appreciate when the Minister said we should really give time to go through some of these policies as a committee. It is very important, because when we're here in Parliament, there's a way we support Ministry of Education less, because there are a number of things we are not even aware of. So we cannot stand strong when you're not there to say that this is it. Actually, there are a number of gaps here. Some of us were even arguing things not from informed point of view. But for me, the conclusion is we cannot pretend that all is well. And for me, this imaginary planning, which even you can sit and reflect that will not work in this country, is where we're going to kill the education of this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lillian. They should tell us the truth. You have brought a very good opening remarks, very clear, very straightforward, but when you see members punching into the technical presentation, then we start seeing that it could be a problem. So I hope what they are telling the committee. Next member, also want to hear from you whether that association, PPTTIA, the petitioners, at the time when you are working on the National Teachers Policy. I'll pick the next one, but...
From Makerere University. He acknowledged that they are offering certificate and diploma. They are not yet offering bachelor's because they have yet submitted to National Council to accredit. So for me also here, when we are narrating that we are offering a diploma, degree, and what, and an institution like Makerere University is like they cannot do that because they have not yet, they have just submitted for accreditation. And here we are counting 28 institutions that can offer diploma and degrees. So for me, I also see a lot of mismatch there. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, the ministry still has a lot of challenge. I think health satisfies in the country. There is no way how you're going to stop institutions from establishing other teacher training in the country, because they can just go to the University and Tertiary Institutions Act and do what they want. Honorable members, the deputy chair, there is something.
10 levels of education.
Section
10 levels of education, where they say there should be 4 levels: pre-primary, primary, post-primary, and tertiary. And under pre-primary, they say the following shall apply to pre-primary education. A, pre-primary education to be run by private agencies or persons provide education to children aged between 2 to 5 years, and the financing of the types of education shall be a responsibility of the parents or guardians. The most serious one is that the government shall provide the curriculum guidelines on minimum standards for school buildings, equipment, and other relevant facilities for pre-primary institutions through its relevant agencies. 2, provide the curriculum for teachers or teacher training for pre-primary education or pre-primary teachers, and ensure that the teachers who teach in the pre-primary institutions have the necessary qualifications. And 3, cause all of pre-primary schools to be licensed, registered, and regularly inspected by government education inspectors. And lastly, pre-primary schools shall be day schools. So that is, according to the presentation by the commissioner, all this was being brushed to private, but this is the crux of the matter of the petition.
The next person, but the minister also should...
That it has put in consideration the 4 levels of education for our country. Secondly, as a member of parliament, I see a very big gap in funding, and where there is a big gap in funding, it will cause all these challenges that we are seeing. Honorable members of this committee, you remember the struggle we went through to even fund the little programs that we approved during the budgeting process. As a country, you're well aware of the challenges we have faced. So the issue of funding, both from the presentation of the petitioners and the ministry, you see that it is causing a lot of havoc. It is causing the discrepancies we are talking about. It is the mother problem that we have as a country. And to me, as a member of parliament, I think that that's why government at a point reached an extent of having the public-private partnership, because they knew that if they don't have partners, then everything will fail. So I think, as they say that it is work in progress, we all have to try as much as possible to put the law. First of all, the law is the one that is most important here in place. But secondly, I see a lot of discrepancies in the petitioners and the response from government in many various ways. For example, the training bit, you've given us a list of 28. The petitioners say it is only 1 institute. So we are requesting as a committee that you submit the list of the 28 institutions that are training our pre-primary teachers. That is one. Two, as a committee, through you, Honorable Chair, we are requesting a list of those that you're sponsoring, because you're saying they are 100% sponsored. Who are they? Maybe the petitioners will know, because you subject them to consultation, so they will know. They will have free information that this has been going on. Thirdly, the issue of education or the qualification. To be sincere, honorable members of parliament, pre-primary education is the basic but most important education that we need as Africa and as a country, Uganda. So I think having a qualification of a degree is the most important that we want. Honorable Connie raised issues of payment and everything. As parliament or government, those are issues we can work on to make sure that they are paid according to their education. But you cannot say, don't go for education because you will not be paid. Don't attain a degree to teach our kids because of the challenges of payments that we already have. So me as a member of parliament, as Subich Nyamatama, I request that the petitioners understand that this is the most fundamental stage of life of our children. This is why you see, I'll take you back to history.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman. Moving on a point of procedure. We had the petitioners appeared before this committee.
Along the same line here, I'm not able to see everybody putting...
For coming up with these ideas of this early childhood. And this week, I think we met some of the NGOs what is a similar proposal, like the UNICEF, the Child Fund, and Plan International. Honorable Minister, when you look at this country, from the time you're born or the time when I was born, there's a big progress in education. Our children, they're having more subjects compared to our time when we were born or when we went to school. And education, or the level is improving every time. The standard or education is improving, and we're very competitive in every year, every time. The level of education that our children are having is quite different from the time that we were born. We never have all these computer systems. We never have all these touch phone. But our children are having all this kind of new agenda. So, Honorable Minister, my major question and the concern today as we are talking, we love to support the initiative that you brought and the idea that you talk about, that we might need to have to study all these things thoroughly, which we shall have time to go through this. Now my concern, as the population in this country increases time to time, is there a possibility which we might have our children to get rid of all this kind of problem which is coming because we lack jobs? Our children, they have early marriages because of all this early childhood care. Then I would ask you, Honorable Minister, if there's a way where the government will really come up to help this country, to help our children with the early childhood, which we would really need to support. Because if we keep comparing with other countries, such as Australia, China, this country, they take action, but we are not doing any action at all. I think we really need to step in to make sure that we help our generation, our children, because only few families who are benefiting in all this program where they go for private school, but the government school is really not helping so much, Honorable Minister. And I would love to see that let the government school also step in to help the private school, and also to support the NGOs program which they come up with, like UNICEF, the Child Fund, and Plan International. I think this is where we should embrace the NGOs who are coming up to support this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you are sort of trying to bring the attention of...
Uganda is not among the 20 countries with the best education. And therefore, that's why I am thanking the ministry for being responsive towards this challenge. When I say the best education, I'm not meaning university education. I mean general education starting from pre-primary level. However, I am not comfortable with the speed at which you are moving without the legs to take you. I don't believe we can attain that level of having teachers with degrees at pre-primary level when we have not even utilized those ones with certificates who got an opportunity to study some courses concerning childhood development. They are not employed in our schools to do that job, and they have the knowledge. We have not utilized them yet, and we believe we can utilize those ones with the degrees. In that case, Honorable Minister, which part of Uganda are we going to sell to get all that amount of money to pay our people who will be teaching our children in nursery schools, when we have failed to pay scientists whose salary we increased by 400% recently? We are running too hard, but I don't think our legs are strong enough to take us where we are going. Secondly, Honorable Minister, you indicated in the presentation, there was an indication that these teachers have the knowledge concerning these, the young ones. Which plan do you have to employ them? The good thing, we prepare and budget with you. You are always with us. Give us a secret or your plan so that we can support you to enroll those people with certificates to start teaching our children. Another issue is about pre-primary educators. We have around 27 institutions which are ready to teach our teachers to assist us in nursery schools. Who trained those teachers? Which kind of experience do they have? Are you sure they will deliver? And in connection to that, when our people get degrees taught by people who did not have experience in that field, how are you going to control their work? Because we don't have enough experience, the teachers do not, the lecturers will not be having enough experience, and it means that even the ministry will be not having enough experience as far as supervising the same teachers. What we should remember also is that we need more staff under the Commissioner of Early Childhood Development to supervise those people, and it needs time. That's why I say we are becoming too ambitious concerning UBTEB. I agree with you entirely. UBTEB is concerned with business and technical institutions, and the moment we mix their education, it will be very difficult for them, and it will confuse the work of the Ministry of Education. However, you need to come out clearly and tell us which institution should do this job, so that as a committee, we support you and have some funds for that institution. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair and members.
In line with that,
the circumstances under which I picked on this petition, I found teachers who were desperate. They were planning to demonstrate. Their pleas had gone to the Ministry of Education, and they were not being heard. And in my mind, I knew that Parliament exists to solve those problems. Parliament is a last resort when everything else has failed. People run here for a solution. When they feel they are enslaved, when they feel they are intimidated, when they feel they have nowhere else to run, they will run to Parliament. That is the spirit in which this petition came to the House. Honorable Chair, I have sat here listening as Equal Opportunities Commission submitted, as the Ministry of Education submitted. I must register my disappointment. That is not what I expected. We are talking about children of this country, the realities on ground. It's not a matter of debate to win an argument. I am extremely disappointed. Let the record take note of that. The Equal Opportunities Commission acknowledged inequality, agreed with about 70% of what the issues raised in the petition. But Equal Opportunities Commission was shy to give any solution, no recommendation, nothing. And yet you agree there is a problem in this country. So in other words, if that must be taken as truth, as submitted by Equal Opportunities Commission, then we are saying that is the way to go, that we will raise some excellent Ugandans and the other ones, and the gap of inequality should increase. That's what I take from that presentation. The presentation from the Ministry of Education. Until today, I knew that the Commissioner for ECCE existed to support the course of ECCE in the country. Today, he has proved he doesn't exist for that purpose. Yes, he has explained the beautiful strategic plans, work in progress, policy. We will do this in future. We are sponsoring the teachers. Why didn't you wait to sponsor before you make pronouncements that have affected the public? Why didn't you wait to bring up that structure that will handle examinations before you make pronouncements and punish everybody? I want to interest the Minister of Education on the extortion happening. When these teachers come to the ministry for direction on a body to do assessment, the Ministry of Education refers them to Makerere University. And the Makerere University, there is a stall where they are charged 300,000 plus for every student. UBTEB charges only 59,000. Now, the ministry wants this kind of extortion to continue indefinitely as you bring your work in progress. We are planning. We shouldn't allow this in our country. I am extremely disappointed. No words can express that. The question I have is on whether the ministry has goodwill on this sector. The picture painted now is there is no goodwill. We want these things to continue the way they are. Yes, you've said we acknowledge that we want good quality, and we will have good quality when we have degrees. You've not given us the numbers. How many have you trained from the time you started implementing that plan of National Planning Authority, that plan? How many have you trained? How many schools are there in real terms? On examinations, Honorable Chair, the ministry has not told us exactly who currently is in charge as it is now, as we wait for those beautiful plans to materialize. Who is in charge? Examinations of pre-primary teachers in the country. Are we relegating it to that kiosk in Makerere? Let the public know. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Naku.
I have no questions. I have no questions. I only have requests. One request for the Corporate Commission and 3 requests for Minister of Education. The first request for Equal Police Commission is based on my assessment on page 10 of the presentation. Page 10 of the presentation, the last paragraph. Here you can see the Commission says should review the existing laws and policies and their compliance, gender and equity. So, Chair, I am compelled to believe that the Commission did not have adequate time to go through the petition itself, to review it in terms of compliance with gender and equity, the specific provisions. For instance, the policy itself. So, Chair, I request, if possible, the Commission should get more time to generate for us a brief review of gender and equity compliance with this specific policy. Specific policy, principle, and disagreeing with. Example, some people are saying that the policy is not gender sensitive. Some people are saying that it does not take into account issues of equity. Some people are saying that it harms the provisions of Article 32 of the Constitution on discrimination. So, Chair, I request, if possible, the Competence Commission should give a more specific assessment based only the petition itself and the policy being mentioned. Chair, request for minutes now. Chair 1. Through you, Chair, Minister, is it possible for you to lay on table evidence to the effect that sufficient research was carried out to inform this policy? It's not to that policy. Because there are people who came here and said that this policy was based on mere hearsay by people seated at the Nursury of Education. Can we get a copy of the research carried out to inform this policy? Possible to it on table. Second, people are saying that no consultations with stakeholders. Can we get evidence of the consultation? Reports on the consultation policy. Last, Chairman, a request based on the last paragraph of page 1. Page 1 of the submission attached to the minister's statement. Yeah, there is a minister's statement. Then to attach to it.
Honorable, which presentation?
Page 1, yes. Minister of State for Education. This is one minister here today. Attachment as submission on the 3 broader issues in the petition. That is subheading of page 1. Now you go to the last paragraph. Last paragraph, it reads as follows. It reads as follows. The deliberate effort by the government of Uganda to sponsor all eligible ECCE certificate holders in the entire country to upgrade for diploma in education is to allow them to all have acquired bachelor's degrees within 10 years stipulated in national policy. Chair, this means there is a plan to manage a transition from diploma to bachelor's. Chair, this means the plan spans over a period of 10 years. Chair, is it possible to have a roadmap for this transition? I mean, Chair, I'll give you an example. The Commission has a roadmap for managing elections. The roadmap is for 5 years. Registration of voters, updating voters register, etc. After the time of elections, announcing results. So I was saying, can we have a roadmap indicating the transition from diploma to degrees, indicating the activities beginning this year up to 10th year? Roadmap, entire roadmap, and the cost of that roadmap. Chair, those are my humble requests. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ndezi. Honorable Aledi.
profession and a graduate teacher of mathematics. Teach someone how they play with others, how they write a 1, a 7, a 9, and whatever. Though someone said, Chair, kindly protect me from...
Honourable members, let us give chance to Honourable Lady.
Whereas one might say that it is okay to have a degree and teach nursery, it shouldn't be mandatory. There's no problem with having a degree and you teach nursery, but even someone with a certificate can still teach a nursery student and they understand very well and perform. Then the other thing is, do you mean we are no longer going to have the branching at senior 4? Someone will move from senior 6 and goes to university to do a degree in ECD. I mean, how is it going to be done? We need to be educated. Then this brings me to the scheme of service and the issue of the salaries. Just like a member alluded here, we have yet failed to pay the salaries for the ones we are having. But we are saying we should have more teachers who are having degrees, yet we have failed to pay these other ones. What exactly are we going to do? And this brings me, or I can just slot in the issue of the teachers who were appointed but have not yet been posted. They are still a very big issue. And then the other thing is, what is going to be the plan for the diploma teachers in secondary? And if we need a graduate teacher for ECD or nursery, what will be the qualification for someone who will teach in primary? Now the qualification for someone who will teach in O-level, the qualification for somebody who will teach in A-level. PhDs for A-level, I mean, what are we going to do there? Then the other thing is about the infrastructure. How ready are we for this ECD? In my constituency, in Masindi, you'll find in most schools, P1, we are having 300, 400 pupils. Now, we are talking about ECD, nursery, we should expect even a bigger number. How ready are we in terms of the infrastructure? As we are talking about the teachers having degrees and whatever, I would suggest that we first go back and equally think about the infrastructure. Otherwise, I want to say it is very important that we all support the ECD. It is very important, but we need to prepare for it. It is not a matter of just waking up and we say, I think we must have this, this and this and this. Then, Honorable Chair, in one of the presentations we had, there is this document here which was presented to us, and I want to get something from the ministry, what possibly the ministry says about it. Someone said, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. Honorable Chairperson, if the officials in charge of this sector, that is ECD, and the Ministry of Education and Sports were up to the task, we wouldn't be having this as one of the prayers in this petition. We would be having centralized examinations. This person goes ahead to say, Honorable Chairperson, instead, the custodians of this sector, that is ECD, have entrenched selfish interests. They benefit from this chaos. For example, some of them own a kiosk behind Lumumba Hall in Makerere University, which prints and distributes ECCE examinations. There was some appendix which was put there. This was something that was presented to us here. So we want to get a feeling from the ministry. Then the same person said, Honorable Chair, the minister says they don't have that document.
Honorable Minister, I think the document being referred to is one of the presentations that we got from the people.
The sector, we are hostage to these powerful individuals. They call them powerful. And permit me at this time to mention them here so that this honorable committee gets to know them by name. And I don't know this person, but the first one here is Miss Elizabeth Chisache, the Principal Education Officer in charge of pre-primary teacher training. And they say that she's assisted by Makerere University professors, and there's a list there. I don't know, how true is this information? Yes. because you are the bosses to these people.
I'm getting news.
Yes, you're getting news. So thank you very much, Chair.
Let me have that copy.
To the issue of teachers upgrading and B degree holders, stroke masters. Colleagues, I want to support it 100%, and it actually should have taken place yesterday. It should have been executed yesterday. First of all, I'm a grade 3 teacher, and I've gone through stages. I've got my master, diploma, degree, masters, but I have not remained the same. The perspective, the ideology, the versatility, you become skilled, the magnitude of content change, you become a specialist, and you give holistic education. Colleagues, things change, and they change for the better. We cannot remain the same. The crested crane stands on one leg, and it shows that Uganda is moving forward. We cannot be static. We must be dynamic. We must change, and for the better. Colleagues, let us separate issues of employing the teachers who have been trained, issues of paying them highly, from elevating and encouraging our beloved teachers to go for further studies. This country, colleagues, look up to us. We shouldn't compromise standards of education in our country. I just want to request the Ministry of Education, first of all, to give a grace period. We can say maybe 10 years, so that those who are 50 years, by 60, they have retired. And those who are 40, by 50, they have the what? The degrees. Then also we can talk about the cost sharing, because these teachers have no capacity to facilitate themselves. What you're talking today may not be executed tomorrow, so want to be very sure that these teachers will be helped financially so that they can go and upgrade. For me, that is my stake. As a person who have gone through those stages, I know what it means. I am not the same the way I was when I was a grade 3 teacher. That I was taught by a grade 3 teacher, and so after 30 years, my children should also be taught by grade 3 teachers. No way. We must change, and change for the better. I thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Annette. And I don't know what the
private and the government. And the challenge is, who is to supervise the other? So that's where we have questions, and we are here to ask. As we are going to hunt, should not behave like hunters who are going to the game park, and whichever animal you see, you chase it. Under that, you find our cluster centers. Under cluster centers, there are cluster tutors who are almost phased out. So you go there, you ask, are they the ones to supervise this program? They say we don't. So at the end of the day, we are going to achieve nothing out of the programs we have, which like they competing the other. Chair, that's where I have a challenge about the supervisory role, who is to take charge, under private and government under the same jurisdiction. I thank you, Chair.
Maybe, Honourable Member, can you clarify on the cluster centers you are talking about? It doesn't click properly on my side.
There are cluster centers. They are locally based, maybe at the sub-county levels. So when you ask, you find like a combination of many schools around. They have a cluster center, and that cluster center, the chairperson is having someone called the cluster tutor, or CCTs, who are there. They are conducting education programs within. So I think these technical people can classify. That's why I even picked interest to come and share that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think PS, through the minister, you try to explain to us what those cluster centers that are dealing with the teaching at sub-counties, what they are.
Brett is my name. woman member of parliament, Namaingo district. I am also the chairperson, Uganda Parliamentary Forum for Children. And when we talk of ECD, then we are talking about these young children below 0 to 8. I want to appreciate government for initiating these programs, because formerly we've been having UP or Navasome up to university. But this is a new thing, which I think as a country...
You are aware about what is happening.
I would implore Minister of Education, find time and invite the former Commissioner of Education, Mr. Stephen Malova. He's not dead, he's around. Find out what was happening before. Mr. Chairman, I always insist and report here, I was a licensed teacher from grade 3, senior 6. I taught during my vacation. After that, I went for grade 3. And when I went for my diploma, the reason why I went very fast was that whoever teacher was getting a diploma, his salary was increasing automatically. Then Fajiri Mande came as a commissioner. He said the work remains the same. Why increase the teacher's salary? Because he has got a diploma, but he's still teaching the same subjects. Now, the mistake, the challenge you have, you people, you have failed to advise the full Minister of Education and tell her facts and government where you are going wrong. Gandhi make full research. Look for the lady like Mrs. Murumba, the owner of Kampala Junior Schools. She's a vernacular teacher, I think, if not a grade 3. But most parents take their children there because of the expertise he has. The moment you want to upgrade teachers, there's nobody refusing that. But are you enhancing their salaries? Mr. Chairman, let us be open. Minister of Education, do you have nursery sections in your schools run by government? The answer is in abstract. Don't tell lies here, Dr. Miingu. Don't. All nursery schools, even if we move out of this building, Mr. Chairman, go to Nakasero Primary School, go to Buganda Road, those big schools, UP in Kampala, nursery schools are run by private people, and they are charging parents over 500. Yet UP schools are paying 30,000 per term. Now, when you got your presentation, Mr. Chairman, on page 1, ECE, grade 3 teachers, unless you tell us, do you have grade 3 teachers now? Most of the colleges are closed. We have asked these people to present us their course units. They are going to teach, they have refused. But most of the nursery teachers are educated by private owners of institutions. Look for them. We have them in Masaka, go where, but government, you don't have them. Now, when you come here and mislead this committee, that grade 3 institutions are teaching, giving a component of nursery teaching, you are telling lies. And that is subject to further investigation. But because you are going to respond the way you want, take it. Mr. Chairman, we requested these people, and they confirmed that they are going to bring us the course units which are certified by National Council for Education. They refused. They have not brought them to the committee. Secondly, the complaint around, you enhance the science teachers, but they are complaining they have no scholastic materials, they have no equipment. Now, you are paying them with no facilities to teach. As someone with no reagents, he has no Bunsen burner, he has no litmus paper, but he's getting a salary. Now, where is the performance? You come here and you think we shall just say, you are very handsome, you people, you are doing a good job. The answer, you have killed education, you know education, but you're not telling government the realities. Why has UPE failed? You might suppose that UPE is doing well, but it's not doing well because you failed to go to the Senteza report. Senteza report was saying, take 1 class per year. And the answer was for only 4 children per family. But every child was taken. And at the end of the day, schools are crumbling, they are failing. But you are not telling us the facts. Mr. Chairman, go to part C of their presentation. They have given you benchmarking across the East African region, Africa and the globe at large. 1 country is in Africa, 2, Kenya and Zambia. Most of our teachers are going to Rwanda. And they are using grade 3 certificates. The answer about enhancement of teaching and the qualification of bachelors is not what comes out of class. I am a bachelor's holder. Dr. Miyingo, I have a bachelor in education, second class lower. Who are those studying? Who are those? Who is going to pay for those who are studying now to go? Because for us, we did our diplomas and degrees in the service, and we passed. That's what we did. So, Dr. Miyingo and your team, handsome as you are and beautiful as you are, the answer here is not about enforcing things that are not going to happen. Teaching is not about, yes, qualification is there, but you people, you don't have even colleges that are teaching nursery teachers. Show them to us. Even your document here betrays you, that you have a component, meaning you just have a small component in government schools. But nursery teaching is beyond that. It's beyond that. Show us your colleges.
Try to refer to the
No,
documents.
Mr. Chairman, I feel like I feel like crying. These people have killed education, but they come here. These people should be cast before God. We say no. We are.
Yes, honorable member.
No,
you know how
Mr. Chairman. Let us tell them.
Yes.
They should go and tell Mr. Museveni and his team that we should go back and revisit education. Prepare a stakeholders meeting, and we handle this matter not by just taking your decisions the way you want.
Okay.
Some of us are not happy.
Yes, honorable member, I'm still
And I'm
giving
going
you
to make
chance.
a very good prayer.
As you also refer to the prayers of the petitioners, as you also look at the prayers of the petitioners, proceed with also reference to the prayers of the petitioners, whether something is right or not. Honorable member, have you concluded?
Because, Mr. Chairman, I gave you their benchmarking. They have Kenya, Zambia, that's Africa.
Yes.
Then they have Finland, Singapore, Norway, New Zealand, South Korea, Canada, Australia, and UK. You see, Mr. Chairman, all these countries they are giving in nursery teaching, what we need there are dolls and playing equipments. We have shifted away from our system of Uganda, where children were making balls, ropes, basing on their capacity. Now, the benchmarking they have cannot tally and move with us. That's what they did. Kenya, Tanzania, Zambia, when you go to Kenya, many Ugandan teachers are there. And they are taking them as grade 3 teachers. But let them tell us, as they enhance teachers, as they take them for bachelors, is the payment going to be commensurate to their qualification? The answer is no. So the only answer and remedy, Mr. Chairman, we need a stakeholders meeting. We get partners, we handle this matter. That's why this petition is. Otherwise, we are pushing, let them show you their nursery courses, their institutions where they're teaching nursery teachers from, before we leave here. And we go to them and we see the certificates they give them as government. I know nursery school in Chitezi, which trains teachers. I know nursery school in Karungu, which in Masaka, which trains teachers. They are all privately owned. Now you are pushing them to degrees, bachelors, but the outcome of these teachers who go there are senior 4 leavers. Some even leave senior 3 to go there. So you people, you are in trouble. Look at me, Dr. Miyingo. We shall have arguments in education until. And even, Mr. Chairman, as I conclude, just make a round up. Let us do it one day. Visit all these schools, the posh schools in Kampala, Green Hill, what? Look for senior teachers who are handling the nursery section. They are those teachers who are vernacular teachers and grade 2 teachers. They are the ones who are monitoring those with the degrees. Need these people here. Whoa!
Okay. Honorable member, Honorable Sewung, thank you very much. And maybe what I want to find out from, I think that was the last one. Yes. I want to thank you, honorable members, for your input, and honorable minister. These are your honorable members of parliament. You have been with us for some time. Some of us found you here, and we are still with you. So when Honorable Sewung talks about matters of education, you know how far it can go when he's talking about it. But I also want to learn more whether the Minister of Education visited all these countries or whether part of work is just desk work. That one will come out, Honorable Minister. Then secondly, to remind you about the prayers, which you already have. The first prayer, after those issues that the petitioners raised, were the Minister of Education and Sports to state the national teachers' policy in part in relation to ECE until a proper legal regime is put in place to formally regulate the sector. In my communication, when I was also making some input, we heard you saying at one time that you are working with the National Council of Higher Education to help you accredit the programs that we are going to teach at UNITE. And what Honorable Seung was talking about, members wanted to be privy to the information that we have shared with the National Council for Higher Education, because we could not get it from National Council for Higher Education. Then two, the Minister of Education is supposed to establish a national examination body for ECCE teacher training in Uganda, or direct EBTEB to examine ECCE teacher trainees. And in the presentation of your commissioner, he was talking about the National Teachers Council, which I think is being proposed in the National Teachers Policy, and establishment of UNITE. But I seem not to have picked very well what exactly it's going to do in as far as national assessment is concerned. Then the third prayer is that the Ministry of Education and Sports support the current ECCE institution to scale up training of EC teachers and caregivers through the establishment of a strong public-private partnership with all ECC teachers training institutions. Then on this one, I want you to relate it with the law, with the Education Act, to bring out your mandate in as far as this is concerned. And I also want to re-echo, to bring again, we have these attachments. Honorable Minister, these documents were received by the committee from the presenters. I asked the clerk to give you these copies. Who's being transferred here? Yeah, through you, the Honorable Minister, you'll give her a chance to talk about this. This is a very serious allegation, for specifically to handle basic education, pre-primary and primary. My brother here, somewhere, if you read here in the presentation of the ministry, provide education that is going to be run by private agencies. And now the question comes up again from the members saying to the, how do you pronounce this word? My English
Chair don't apply to the mandate of Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development. However, Chair, the National Children's Act, Cap 59, recognizes the importance of education and actually stipulates it as a fundamental right of a child to education. So all efforts made to ensure that a child accesses education, not only accessing it, but quality education, is very important. Chair, the National Integrated Early Childhood Development Policy of Uganda stipulates the various functions and roles of MDS in delivery of early childhood and development services for children. With particular reference to this petition, Chair, the National Integrated ECD Policy mandates Ministry of Education and Sports to provide the following for ECD services. If I'm not really contradicting my Honorable Minister of Education and Sports, providing guidelines and establishment of ECD centers, streamlining the licensing, classification and registration of ECD centers, streamlining and harmonizing the training programs for caregivers and ensuring certification and accreditation of awards, setting basic requirements and minimum standards for establishing ECD centers and ECD teacher education centers, developing capacity building policy for early childhood development and education of the personnel, developing guidelines for support, instructional materials, and curriculum for ECD. Chair, it is therefore not the mandate of Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development to provide the issues raised by the petitioner from 1 to 6. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, Chair, by the ECD policy, the National Integrated ECD Policy, is charged with the coordinating the multi-sectoral teams and carrying out sensitization and mobilization of communities for ECD. That means to create demand for ECD by the communities. Some of the activities, Chair, the ministry has continued to do and has been doing and continue to do are the following: building capacity of local government officials to plan, budget, and integrate ECD services for children. 2, training parents to adopt the 23 key family care practices. 3, mobilizing communities to establish and manage ECD centers, rolling out the service delivery standards for ECD. Chair, I beg to move, sir. Your name is Franco, Assistant Commissioner for Children Affairs.
I think you'll have to own this document. You'll sign it, put your names and the title, so it can form part of our record. Honorable members, I think, yes.
That's why it's painful that your ministry is here. Don't run away from your responsibility. The moment you read the Children's Act and you are citing sections of the law under your guidance and ECD, you still have a role. The interest of this committee is your input. Because, let me tell you, where do we generate themes for years where children won't perform any art activities like music and what? It comes from your ministry to education. Those are areas of yours. So this committee was interested in knowing what you think about this early childhood education. But when it's not our role, government does not run in isolation. You run with the other ministries. That's why, who is your PS? Isn't it Mr. Owen Chibeng? Where did he come from? And you think he's useless while there? So, Mr. Brother from Gender, you have not been useful to us, but I can assure you, the Act, the Constitution, the Children's Act, even the Constitution, gives you some roles. Even if you don't want them, you can give your input in relation to the matter we are handling. So when you say, no, we are not, if children are, why did you take children from the streets? Where were you taking them? We gave you money in the parliament.
Okay, Honorable.
Isn't it you who took those children with the Honorable Nachwala, by then the minister?
Honorable Member, I think
to go back to school.
He has taken note. We shall receive this as it is, but we would ask you to go back. Today is Wednesday. By Friday, you should give us a detailed write-up. Look at the petitioners' issues and prayers, try to interrogate each one of them, and you respond to them.
But
and I would really reiterate what Honorable Seung has said. Government cannot run in isolation. Don't say it is a responsibility of the Ministry of Education.
And Mr. Chairman,
that's wrong.
Mr. Chairman,
let us conclude on this one. We give chance to people to respond.
Just 1 minute, Mr. Chairman. You see, even when we are creating industrial courts, the interest is in the Ministry of Gender. If these teachers are not paid wherever they are working, they are referring their issues to the Ministry of Gender. You come in first. Now you are here trying to run away. I wish they keep here until the day ends. Yeah. Tell us where industrial courts, who demands for creation of industrial courts, who handles arbitration of civil servants. All those are areas in gender. But now you are saying we are not part of education.
Okay.
Because you are fearing.
I think he has taken note. He has to be here with us until we complete this process. Honorable, let's be brief, and then the minister can respond.
Honorable, I'm a person of the Parliamentary Committee on Gender, Labour and Social Development for more than 4 years. I am well versed with issues the gender ministry is supposed to handle. I want to say I'm very disappointed because the issues being raised here are really within the mandate of the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. You should have had a lot of issues to mention, so many issues. So, Chair, I beg you, and I beg my colleague, get time to interact with the Senior Minister and other ministers so as to provide an input to this important work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you. That's the advantage.
Is to come up with explicit recommendations after the observations.
Yes.
And maybe the other question which was raised by Honorable Alex Indezi, Honorable petitioner, the lead of the petition, we are going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I wish
are of technical nature. And I'll be asking my technical team to respond, but also ask the lady you wanted to see and hear, say something before we leave. But before I hand over to the technical team, Chair, it's not true that for us everything, we believe that everything is okay. It's not all okay until we have all our children, right from pre-primary, primary, secondary, and university, access quality education. Chair, as government, we are committed, right from primary, as resources permit. Chair, as government, we recognize the importance of early childhood training, pre-primary education, as a foundation for further studies. And we should not mess it up at all. We are committed as government to ensure that early childhood education is provided to everybody. We are committed as resources allow. And we feel as government that the best should be given to our children in school, as resources allow. So, Chair, I would like to call upon the Permanent Secretary and her team to respond to some. Some I'll come in and fill them in. Others, you allow us to put them in writing so that we interact. But most importantly, Chair, I've noted that really we need to spend some time and look at these issues so that we are all talking from the same page. I thank you.
Yeah, honorable members, for those who are not here, the Minister with Parliament, and I think we have to make an late release a final list of seed schools to be constructed under that project of USIP.
Really places early childhood in the private sector. That does not mean that as a ministry we do not remain with the oversight and regulatory role. However, that role requires resources. And the resources are not sufficient, as you will hear from the Commissioner, early childhood or basic education that I'll be introducing shortly. So we want to request really, even as we start the budgeting process, which is a very opportune moment, to you to start really begging that you pay attention to supporting us in that, in getting resources to regulate and oversee early childhood education. Without saying much, I'll request that I hand over to the technical people, Honorable Chair, to add to what I have said, beginning with Commissioner Basic Education, because many of the issues fall under his docket. Thank you.
Thank you very much, but I also have to remind you, Honorable Madam PS, through the Minister, is that for us, our role as Parliament is to do appropriation.
It's a decentralized service. We can go to Schedule 2. At the Ministry of Education and Sports, where I head the Basic Education Department, we have two divisions. The Division of Pre-Primary Education and the Division of Primary Education. The Division of Pre-Primary Education is grossly understaffed to execute whatever we've been talking about here. It only has 4 officers: Assistant Commissioner, Principal Education Officer, Senior Education Officer, and Education Officer. That's the staffing of that division, coordinated by myself as the Commissioner, Basic Education. So in terms of providing the necessary support in this area for the entire country, it is a very big task. Secondly, the fact that this is a decentralized service, the role of the ministry is really the oversight role. We do issues related to curriculum development, quality assurance, teacher training, monitoring and support supervision, continuous professional development, but we also work with the other line ministries, departments, and agencies. For example, when it comes to teacher training, we work with Teacher Education Training and Development Department. Over the years, we have received a lot of support from government partners like UNICEF to train all these caregivers over a long period of time. Through the Directorate of Education Standards, we have put in place the basic requirements and the minimum standards for all institutions of this country, including ECD centers, daycare centers, and it is the role of the local government inspectors and other stakeholders to ensure compliance. What happens is that every quarter the Directorate of Education Standards goes out to do support supervision, monitoring, and evaluation. But as you may be aware, most of the staff we have at local government are not ECD specialists. So they may not be able to give the necessary support that is required at that level. And also, until recently, there was a lot of understaffing in terms of school inspectors at local government level. As ministry, we have advocated for a creation of a position of an officer in charge of ECCE. Ministry of Public Service is yet to consider this. We believe that we need some specialized person in the office of the district education officer who should be able to support the caregivers and the ECC institutions at that level. The Education Act is very clear regarding the role, and we should be able, Mr. Honorable Chairman and the members, to provide some of this information that you talked about. For example, the number of teachers that have been trained. We shall be able to provide copies of monitoring reports because we have moved. Right now, we reviewed the Center Management Committee Training Manual, and we have been training the Center Management Committee members so that they are able to monitor how the teaching and learning is going on in the ECD centers.
Maybe, Honorable Minister, on this one, are those centers the ones they are talking about, the cluster centers at sub-counties?
No.
Those are different?
Yes. We shall also be able to provide the information because the ECE centers are licensed and registered by the local governments. What the ministry did was provide a uniform format of the copy of the license and the registration that is used by all the different local governments. But it's the mandate of the local governments to license and also register these ECD centers as long as they comply with the basic requirements and the minimum standards. I beg to submit. Thank you.
We still wanted to hear more from you. Honorable,
there are a number of questions that we are raised. I'll allow my colleague to respond some, and I'll be responding to others. However, there are those which may not respond to right away that need the information that we're supposed to get from office, which you could not access as we're here, because we don't want to give wrong information. Allow me to start with a question or a concern about the kiosk-related issue and my officer being a link to Makerere to extort money or that issue, all those areas. Chair and members, Makerere University, we have a Makerere University College of Education and External Studies, which is responsible for the ECD. And this is a university program. It's a university entity. The organ is within the Makerere University. There is no connection between the officer at the Ministry of Education and Sports with what goes on in Makerere. The officer is known to be in charge of pre-primary. So what goes on in Makerere, people go there, first of all, to be affiliated. The institutions are affiliated to Makerere University. The training programs are for Makerere. So whatever goes on there, Makerere as a university recognized where most of us went through. I think we believe what they are doing is right. What is being referred to as a kiosk, we need to explore more. But we believe what is being done is the truth, and that is good. We shall explore more and give more guidance. There are other universities which are responsible for the early childhood development teachers. Ndeje University affiliates also the ECC training centers or institutions. Chambogo does the same. Those are the three main universities that we're aware of and affiliating the trainers of the ECC teachers.
Maybe before you end, are those institutions licensed by the ministry?
The institutions are licensed by the ministry through the private sector, rather the private institutions department. They don't operate
There are 28?
No. Leave it at 28. I'm looking at the private ones, the ones which are training this at certificate level.
Yes.
Yes.
They are all licensed through the private. Through you make a clarification on that one. How are they licensed? How do they operate before they are affiliated to those universities?
Should clarify the one in charge. Take a note, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Chair, as I said, a number of questions, and when I was still in the class, the person who asked a question already has an answer, but I'm not saying the committee has answers to these questions. The issue of benchmarking, we say we benchmarked East Africa, and then we mentioned the other countries which are beyond us. Why did we go beyond and couldn't go to Rwanda, Tanzania, and other countries? You know, when you are benchmarking, they can do it.
But did you go to Nairobi, Kenya?
Chair, I'm responding.
Okay.
As you do the benchmarking, we can do the benchmarking through literature review. We read what goes on, and there is a physical. We went to Tanzania and Kenya, but then and Zambia, and even recently people were in Zambia. He was in Zambia, she was in Zambia. So there we went physically, but we did not go to Singapore. We didn't go to Canada, but we read and then also really pick and then say this is a good practice. Do we need a degree holder to teach playing, writing? Chair and members, the only constant in this world is change. It's the only constant. And there are so many things that have changed. We are no longer living the way we used to live. We don't sleep the way we used to sleep. And we don't eat the way we used to eat. So all this requires this child to get exposure. A senior 4 graduate at that time could teach me. Unfortunately, I didn't go through that level. I went to P1 directly. My mother was a teacher and a nurse. So I did it from home. However, today, if you look at one of the honorable members talked of the computer. If you look at what is going on in all our home states, we have got the smartphones, that is ICT equipment. And for these learners to have a feel of what they are experiencing in the future, they need someone who is highly informed and technical and highly exposed. It is the brain therapy. I say brain therapy. Honorable member, deputy chairperson said, those who go through ECD don't drop out. So now, I remember he said, they don't drop out. Now we want really someone who is an expert, who can do it even much better. Who can do it much better. We are aware, even the one who has not been to school can do it. But why should we remain at that level? That is what we are envisaging. I'll connect it to the report that informed us to have the teacher policy and other issues which are under the reform. There are so many issues that were identified. So we feel for our country to move forward, we need the best teacher at that level. The brain is being built. We are building a human being.
Clarification. Can I seek for clarification, Mr. Chair?
Clarification?
Yeah. I'm sorry I came in today.
He's called Mr. Chukomeko Joseph.
Mr. Chukomeko, where do you come from? Your village?
Masaka, Nyendo, where you come from.
Do you think everybody there having a smartphone went through primary school? Don't we have illiterates using smartphones now in Nyendo?
Chair, I have no response to that one.
No, I'm seeking clarification. You can say no or yes.
People learn on the job. People learn as they use equipment. People learn as they do.
Now, what are you saying?
I think what honorable member is trying to say is that there are those remotest villages. If I can tell you one of the villages in my constituency, those people don't even have a radio. They don't have anything. People are still walking on foot to go to school. You are talking of smartphones.
So, I think Mr. Chairman is taking us back.
I think let us don't talk too much, Mr. Chukomeko. Mr. Chukomeko was my lecturer at the UT Selgon when I was a teacher there, a principal.
So why isn't he the president of
so-
this country? With all the PhDs he has.
Don't go too much in details. There's another clarification from Honorable Timuzugu, then the deputy.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. With the due respect, Mr. Chikomeko, can't we really have those people with the certificates and diplomas, can't we improve the content we teach them so that they can be able to deliver without charging Uganda too much money, which we do not have anyway? Can't we do that? Can't we improve the content we teach them? Can't we improve the pedagogy, the approaches they use to teach, so that we can get the best out of them without forcing government to take dates, to take credit from where it is sometimes not possible? Can't we? Clarify, Mr. Chikomeko.
Honorable members, I just pray that the retreat which is